Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a divorcee. This is my story.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Grounds for Divorce. So today, we have a very special guest with us, Elizabeth, who gave birth to a daughter at the age of 21. She is also a managing director of Kueh Ho Jiak, which got featured in Netflix docuseries, also in various media channels, received various heritage awards. She had also served President Halima at the President's Awards in 2019. So thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Elizabeth's family business, Kueh Ho Jiak, was founded by her mom, Sandy Tan, and has become a market leader in the Nongya Kueh while staying true to its roots. So Kueh Ho Jiak offers catering services, online deliveries, and even live station cooking of their delicious kueh. With the current outlet in Tanjung Pagar Plaza Market, it is a brand that many Singaporeans hold dear. But today, Elizabeth is here to share something more personal, her journey through divorce. So let's dive in.
Yep. So Elizabeth, so most people at the age of 21 were actually still in school or not, if not figuring out their life and exploring what they want to do. But you were already stepping into marriage. And can you please share with the audience, how was your life before marriage?
I think before marriage, I was just searching as a teenager to a young adult. I was just very lost because I grew up without a father and my mother was never around. But, because I had this lack, of wanting to create a family. So I went to search for a family, to trying to create the ideal family that I wanted. But maybe because I was really young, so when I created the family, it didn't turn out to be what I expected. So I was in a state of shock. That's when I decide that, hey, it's totally different from what I expected in life.
Right. But back to the point when you were searching and then of course you met your boyfriend then, most likely at the age of 19 or 20, right? How you guys decided to even want to actually get married?
Okay, so what happened was that he was grieving over his father because he lost his father, right? And I think, I just didn't know that I was also in a state whereby I was lost. The funny thing is that I don't even know that I was lost. I thought I was perfectly fine, but I was actually like feeling alone throughout. So, we just connected because two persons who felt the same just felt that it was, we just had so many things to talk about. But, after marriage, suddenly you feel that you got nothing to talk about. Yeah, so... but we didn't really plan for marriage because I had my daughter first, but because I was wanting to create a family, right? So to me, my stand was very clear. I was already conceiving, so I was like, okay, no matter what, I'm just gonna give birth. Whether anybody likes it or not, I will take responsibility.
Okay, so at that age, at a young age, were your matrimonial home already ready, or where were you living at?
I was still living at my own place, but I would say that in every circumstances, like it's always about two person. It's never
Right.
about him being wrong or I being wrong. So I was just happily living in my own house because they didn't really like invite me over, and I was so used to staying at my own place. So I think I felt like a weekend mother, a weekend wife.
Okay.
Yeah, so I only went over during the weekends and so forth. Then, so it just happened like that. And so there wasn't much transitions and everything because I think we still live our own life. And because I was only like 21, right? So I just did things that I felt comfortable with.
Okay. But at that point of time, right, were you already like working?
No, so before that I wasn't working. So I was
Right.
I studied till quite late and everything. So I wasn't really working, but so I just followed the flow, whatever came about, I just did whatever because like I said, I was just lost at that moment.
Right.
But I didn't know that I was lost.
Back to also you mentioned because you were so young then, right? So and you were staying in your own house, you mentioned. So you mentioned your mom was away. Was she even worried that you met somebody young and then you're going to get married because you were barely legal?
I got married to him because he was like 7 years older than me. So I vision that somebody who is 7 years older is like a father figure. So then, only then now, over the years, then I realized that actually I was looking for a father, right? So back then, he was like the heroic, the hero, like, the manly, matured man in my life. But actually, I was looking for a father, which I didn't know. So, of course, my mom was worried, but there was so much for her to handle also as a single mother. And she was like the sole breadwinner. So I think she was afraid to make a decision as well. Because end of the day, I'm not like really, really young, like 14 years old, right? I was already like 20 years old. So all she did was she supported me by asking me to think through and make a choice. And to also like highlight what to expect. But I was just stubborn. And I just felt like, because I was always just wanting to create a family. So when that happened, I was willing to go all out that, no matter what people say, no matter what choice people say, I made a choice really. So I just went with it.
Okay. So at the point when you actually got married, what was your emotion? Were you really happy that, you actually finally have a family?
Yes, actually, throughout at the start of the pregnancy, at the start, I was really happy because I started, like girls' fairy tale, you start thinking like, oh, it's going to be like that, I thought it was funny because I started having thoughts like, imagine I give birth already, then I stand at the door, then after that my baby will wish the father like come back already, or the father going out. I just had a lot of thoughts, but back then it's just like thoughts of me wanting to create a family.
Right. Okay. You definitely have this very strong vision that how a beautiful family gonna be like for yourself as well. But of course, how long does it take you to realize that this is a marriage that you do not want to be in?
So things didn't turn out the way I expected. I think I just had a lot of expectation.
Okay.
Like the way things were didn't change even after marriage. So before marriage, the things were like that, the way it was. After marriage, the way it was still the same. But I changed. After I gave birth to my daughter, I think the maternal instinct just kicked up and I started having a lot of expectation, like not material wise, but having expectation of him being the perfect father, being the good father. But I forgot the part that he has never been a father. And I forgot the part that, I picture it so beautifully. But we are all humans. We will make mistakes. There will be things that we cannot handle. So after one year plus, I decided, I of course we had a conversation, what I wanted, what I expected in him, on his career, a normal career and everything. But I just felt that after a year plus, he couldn't fulfill. And I just wanted the best for my daughter. And at that moment, it was a real struggle because I felt like it's either I accept whatever it was like and just go with it, or I make a choice to end it and to start our own life. Because I know that no way am I going to let go of my daughter. Because before I gave birth to her, I was very adamant already that, no matter what happens, I will give birth because this is what I decided. So it has never come across my thoughts that my daughter will belong to somebody else or somebody will take away my child. So that's why when things happen, right, all I knew was that, okay, if it doesn't work out, I'll just take my child with me, no matter how. And the scary thing was that I've never really worked before, right? And I don't know what to expect, but I just tell myself that if I make this choice, then I just have to make it happen.
Okay. Can you also elaborate a bit more on the part where you say that, your ex did not fulfill his part? Which part? Like financial part?
So I would say that, when I'm young, I always felt that because I grew up without a father, and I hated it when 老师 asked me to write like 作业 about 写我的爸爸是什么 or like say things that what is my father. Obviously I cannot write because my father left me when I'm like 1 years old. So based on what I've experienced, I actually looked it onto him. Like, I started having thoughts like, because his job career is like more of the working in the night. So, like to me, it's like, oh, what if my daughter, like always see him waking up late afternoon, like in the night he's out. What if, like she don't really know what he's doing? How is she going to write her 作业?
Oh.
I just started having a lot of thoughts based on what I went through. So this also kind of led to my expectations because I had used what I have gone through and I put it on him.
During the period where where you actually figure out that this relationship was really not for you and your mom wasn't around, how do you actually take care of this part? Like, how do you even deal with the emotions?
So my mom only wasn't around when I had my daughter because all the while she lives overseas. But I would say my daughter is also the angel because she's the one that broke the pattern. Because my mom couldn't take the fact that I'm going to put her in the infant care.
Okay.
I think she saw my daughter as me because she has never been around, right? Because she had to work and everything, right? So the moment when she saw my daughter, right, she made a stand, okay, I'm going to quit my job. Then I'm like, I never work with... Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I never work yet, I don't have money. Like, how am I going to provide for you, right? But she was, she was all out, she was all willing. She was like, never mind, it's okay. I got some savings. Without even thinking, whether she don't even have fear. I think I'm the one who had fear. Like, can I provide or not, and everything. So she decided to quit her job. Then our whole family came together again. So that's why I always see that, my daughter is somebody that brings light to the family. Because of her, the whole family changed. We became reunited.
Wow.
That's very, I mean, like, that's very nice of your mom. You probably have revived the mother instinct in her, lah.
Yeah.
Because she thought that she didn't fulfill on your, when she had you, right?
I think we had our fair share of things to go through in our journey of my daughter growing up. Because she saw me in my daughter. So she treated her like me when I'm young. So she was very, very protective. And because I was young, I was only 21, right? So there were a lot of things she didn't allow me to do. She was like, oh, what if you sleep? Then, you press onto your daughter, then she cannot breathe. She started having a lot of funny thoughts, Then she was like, she didn't really allow me to like bring my daughter out for long hours because she's worried that I cannot handle like whether I can feed her milk and everything. Then I'm like, she didn't really allow me to shower her unless under her guidance. Because in her mindset was like, oh, my daughter is still young. I don't know if she can handle.
Okay.
Right. So there was a few processes in life that we went through. So at the start, what was this? But you see, everything really turned out for good because I wasn't ready to become a mother as much as I wanted to. But I tell you, I wasn't. I was like lost still. You don't suddenly just become
nobody.
Yeah, nobody, right? We are not prepared to become a mother. So I was just lost. And then to make it worse, I was going through the part whereby I don't know whether I'm divorced and I have to handle another child. There were a lot of emotions involved, and so my mother just gladly hopped onto it because she was ready and I wasn't ready. Then at the right time when my daughter grew older, I became much more mature. Then I realized that when she didn't want me, it was so bad. She didn't want to let me touch her.
Oh?
Your daughter don't want you to touch her?
Yeah, because she was so attached to my mother already.
Oh.
So she because children when they are growing up, everything, right? Sometimes when they are growing up, sometimes they get very, if they are so close with a person, they don't really allow. I mean, every child is different. They don't really allow other people to touch her.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm your mother, Then like she didn't really, of course she didn't downright reject me, but I can sense from the body language she didn't really want me either. That's when I start to wake up. Then I'm like thinking, oh no, like like my daughter don't want me, Like, then, of course, at the back of my thoughts were like, I did so much for the family. I go through so much. Then, end of the day, she didn't want me. Then, slowly things starts to get back in place. That's when my mother have the thought, the revelation, and the thought that it's time for me to return my granddaughter to my daughter.
Yeah.
Then, everything started to fall into place. And that was also the time when I was ready. So, I'm very thankful that, everything just happened at the right time, right place. Because if I didn't have the support from my mother, I really, really cannot imagine what would have happened.
It was difficult. Like, even though I had my kids when I was 28, my first kid when I was 28, I was still not ready. we are not taught how to be a mother.
Yeah.
So how to shower the tiny thing, very tough. I had a lot of struggles myself. Like, so we really needed support. I guess in all childbirth, right? So that's why confinement ladies were important, grandmothers are important. Like, I'm very glad as well, because I have my mom who was my confinement. She was helping me through my confinement. So she taught me all that I needed to know. But of course, mothers being mothers, we are always not as good, right? So they have a lot of they will have a lot of their own thoughts, like what it should be done. So I guess you were younger then, like, maybe that's why you will say, okay, maybe my mom knows better. Like, but I had certain conflicts with my mom as well, because I wanted certain things, she wanted the other thing. Yeah. So I guess that's what it came about.
I think the beauty about everything is right. Because we are human, we are always in the comfort zone. But after going through so much, I feel also that, when things happen, there will be no circumstances that anybody cannot handle. You will just be pushed out of your boundary to do things to do things that you have to conquer. Right? Because I think, you will just step out of that comfort zone. And when now I look back, I'm just very thankful. Of course, not saying that I'm thankful I wanted it to happen, but I look back, right, it really made me a much stronger person. And it has made me to become who I am today. Otherwise, I would just be like the when the little girl I was, when I'm young, like very timid, very quiet. I'm like the total intro. I'm like the total introvert, which nobody believes now. But yeah, but when you step out of the comfort, somehow, you grow. You'll be forced to grow. But you look back, I think it's good.
Yeah, so just now, before this podcast, we actually have a small chat. Elizabeth actually shared that your mother was a very protective mother and you were also quite introvert. Something changed, right? Something changed after giving birth and you decided to make a move in your first career. Can you share that with us?
So, after I had my daughter, right, then I just saw my mom, providing and everything, right? Then after that, I was just like, I just felt very... Probably, I would use the word ashamed, because as a mother, I'm not able to take care of my child. I'm not able to protect my child and everything. Then I burden my mom. I mean, that was the instant thought. So I just told my mom, I said that, after my confinement, I'm gonna work, but I've never really worked before. That's the problem. So I just took the leap of faith and the courage. I think, that's the beauty about being mothers. You just have this mother instinct and you just want to protect your child or you want to do better for your child. But she has also made me who I am today.
Yep.
Right? So just now you were saying about that, then it's like, I just became a different person, after I had my daughter. And I just wanted to become better for her.
Of course.
Which was a good cause.
But during your sharing just now, especially the part where you actually incorporated your own first business, which is in soft furnishing, what is it about again?
So when I had my first daughter, then after that I had my family was like, okay, you didn't study much, and so forth. Maybe you should do sales, right? Because as long as you're willing to work hard, you will have more money and you need to feed your daughter. Kind of like, okay, but at the back of my head, it's like I never think so much because I don't even know what to expect in doing sales. Wow, I was like mind blown because it was so tiring and it was exhausting for me as an introvert, right? Because I didn't really like talking too much to other people. So
I agree.
I was just mind blown, I had to really step out of my comfort zone to do things that I didn't like. But I only had one agenda in my mind. To become a better, to earn as much at a point of time, to earn as much money as I can to provide for my family. So I went all out. I met circumstances, like very nasty circumstances, like, customers getting me to their office, carrying samples, like if one wallpaper sample is 5 kg, carrying 5, carrying 5. Then it went on to 7. Then I was still very happy, when I went there the second time. I was like, okay, great. This is going to be the first deal I'm going to close. Then after the whole meeting, they were like, okay, we'll let you know again. Then I was just disappointed. I was just devastated. I'm like, huh? Like, I thought I'm there to sign a deal. and I told you, right, to make it even worse, like Korean drama like that, it was raining heavily. Like, I don't know why. It was raining so heavily and I was carrying all the books. I started crying, I just felt so pathetic for myself.
Yeah.
But these were the little things in my life that really made me remember till today, that made me stronger, that I know that, like, when I look back, it's all these small little things that really make me who I am today.
Yeah.
We agree.
It strengthened you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the very moment when you stood in the rain, and then of course you didn't quit, right away. Your spirits was not.
I didn't quit because I think I didn't quit because of my daughter.
Exactly. So your daughter was your motivations.
Yes, because like, of course there were many, many times that I wanted to quit. Like,
Yeah.
like who wants to suffer, right? But every time the thought of quitting, right, I'll be thinking like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to? Then what is going to happen, to my daughter? And my mom wasn't working to make it worse.
Yeah, she
So
came back.
Right.
the stress was like, I didn't say it, but the stress was really heavy. I just felt the burden on me because every decision I'm going to make will affect the family. So to make it even more crazy, it's like because I always love art. Our family is like love art. We love art. So it's like even Kueh Ho Jiak, right? The kueh, it's like every piece of art to me. So when I did curtain, I do a lot of crazy things which my family, my relatives cannot accept because it was like a family business also. I started taking different materials, different fabric, asking them to patch it up together. Like, oh, take this 1, 2, 3 fabric, like sew together. I started doing crazy things because that's me. I like to do crazy things.
But were your customers sold?
They were sold.
Oh.
But my production wasn't sold because they have to like go through a lot of hassle. Just like, why can't you just do something normal? Why can't you just be normal? But I'm like, I want to like create something different. So when you step into this person's house, the curtain, the wallpaper, the carpet is different. You don't see it at any other people's house. But I did well at that point of time. Then, so there were a lot of conflicts and everything. Then it came to a point that I realized that I just needed to step out already. So I actually told my family about it and everything. Like, I want to like step out and to start on my own, to do things that I want and do things that I like. But I still liaise with them and everything. Then that's when I started my first business. Yeah. At 21, end of 21 or something. Because like I say, everybody is like in their comfort zone. Nobody wants to step out into reality. If all those things didn't happen also, to be honest, right? I don't think I would have stepped out. But I'm just very thankful, like, for everything. So I believe like everything that happens in our life is really for a good cause.
Yep.
Yeah,
Agree?
definitely.
Agree?
Yeah, because just now earlier on when we actually were on the way to meet Elizabeth, right? When we first met her, and for me, the first thing when I see you, you definitely portray as a strong woman to me. Nothing like the one you mentioned. You were shy, you were like introvert, things like
yeah,
that.
totally
Yeah,
doesn't
but I
resonate.
truly believe after hearing your story regarding about your entrepreneurial journey, right? Especially the one that you went through, you got very bad contractor.
Yeah, because I was working with interior designers and contractor, right? Then my personality back then was like just quiet and everything, right? I got bullied so badly until I remember until today, like when we went to the job site, it was very noisy. Then the contractors started shouting. Then obviously I also get shouted. Then, when things, sometimes maybe they want to hide certain things or so forth, right? Then they'll be like, do you know or not? Because they see that I'm young, you get what I mean? Then they were shouting at me like, do you know or not? Then I'll be like so frightened, Then you know what? She said, you go and tell your interior designer, like how to do this. Then after that, obviously, I'm new also. Obviously, I thought like it's the interior designer. So I went to tell him nicely, like, oh, sorry, I spoke to my contractor. This cannot be done. He challenged me back. He said, you want me to do for you right now? Then I was like so taken aback. I was just so frightened because I was only 21 years old. Then after that, I was like, oh no, like what am I getting myself into? There were like constant struggles of people shouting, people being nasty. And I just need to deal with it, whether I like it or not. It's either I deal with it or I have to like shift out of this industry. So eventually along the way, I became louder than them. Then I started like becoming louder than them. I started to take authority, knowing what I am, knowing who I am, knowing my things in my industry. And and then eventually this just became the Elizabeth you see now.
So the thing is, what gave you the strength we all know that it's because of your girl, right? So you think, maybe to think back a little bit, other than really wanting to provide for your daughter, right? What do you actually wanted then for yourself? Did you think about yourself at all?
Okay, I did. So when I look back now, back then I think that when you're in that state, you really don't understand a lot of things. But after so many years, like when I look back and I puzzle my life, it's like I was lost because I wanted a family. I created my own family. Then I realized this wasn't the family I want. Then I broke the family again. Then after that, I realized that, it all boils down to, right, like childhood and upbringing. Because I just felt so lack, and I just felt that so condemned. Of course, throughout, your rebellious years and everything, definitely you'll be condemned by adults and everything, right? But this kind of like sewn into me, thinking that I am like that. So I was in the stage of proving myself. I just wanted to and to make it even worse, I had a daughter and I divorced. I think that the condemnation came even greater. But but now there was a different strength. Back then I didn't have this strength, but now I had the strength of being a mother. And I don't want my daughter to be looked down upon, and I don't want her to feel that she have a useless mother. So I was in the state of just wanting to prove myself. Of course, it's not good, but I would say that, it's a phase of life for me then.
That's why, to think back, let's rewind back a little bit. At the age of 21, when you decided that you had never worked before, you have no experience in any work, your monetary support is not from your ex-husband. Dan was your husband, right? You have a child with you, baby, infant. You had no financial backing. To have the courage and to say that, I'm done. I'm done with this. I don't need anything. From that step to this step, right? How did that even happen? It's still
Okay, so
really
it just
me.
boils down to one thing.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you make a lot of reckless decisions. You're not scared one. But as you grow older, everything you're suddenly scared.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can only link back. I was just unwise lah. I was just like, just go with it. Don't care. Whatever comes. But now that I'm older, right, I realize that I become very conscious of the decisions I make, So you ask me back then, I think it's just because I was younger. Then I didn't think too much.
You didn't know what you don't know, is it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I just went all out because I just wanted to. But now that I'm older, right, I realize, wow, nowadays the decisions I make are getting more and more timid. I'm not so brave like last time. Then I understand why. Just because back then I was younger.
Okay, so it comes down to the experience. She not aware. Okay.
Yeah, so just now, what you said, right? Why you felt that it was a good thing that, proving myself, I said that it's not a good thing, right? Because I think over the years I come to a realization, right, that at that point of time, that phase of life, I think it's okay. Because you need that strength to drive you through. But it cannot be forever. Because I feel that if you keep wanting to prove yourself, it will come to a point, right, when you reach this peak or when you reach your goal, right, you will realize that it's meaningless. Then you start to destroy everything also. Because you realize that, I already reached my goal. Where else am I going? Then you feel that it becomes very meaningless also. So that's why I'm very grateful and thankful. I feel very blessed like along the way. I learned so much, be it in church, be it, with friends and everything. I just felt that it was the right time, right place. And then, I just was up to the part of proving myself to learning my own identity, knowing who I am. I think every lady should know who they are, because when I look back, right, I really can understand. I really can understand why certain lady or even why myself make such a choice, just because I don't know who I am.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree also.
Yeah. But before we go to that part about the advisory, right, we are still very interested on especially the divorce process. We hear that you did not actually divorce immediately. You took some time to actually finalize the divorce. And I recall that you mentioned 2015. That was like 9 years apart, you were saying?
Yeah.
So during these 9 years, how did you survive? Like, aside from working in your this career? How long was the working hours?
The working hours is like normal office because, you're doing sales job, right? But because I was so driven, so in the night, I wouldn't be asleep. I would be at home on my laptop working till 2, 3 a.m. Finding and understanding more about curtains and everything, designs, what is the the trend overseas, because I want to do something different. So I will find out what's the trend overseas, and then I'll start to research on things that I don't know. Then I will be like constantly thinking like, oh, what are some of the best way, to create different styles? So I'm constantly just like doing research in the night. So I usually sleep like maybe 3 to 4 hours, 4 hours or so.
Yeah, very hardworking mother. But also you mentioned something triggered you to actually make the move to divorce your husband.
Yeah, so I think the not cheeky but the naughty part of me is that when I decided to leave, right, I didn't want to pay for the divorce fees. And because he's 7 years older, at the back of my head, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just leave. Then, like, when you want to marry, then you can't beg me. That's why I really, really feel that, we should never make a decision on impulse or based on the emotions at that moment. So because of that, right, it dragged on 9 years because I'm not in a rush to get married. And to me, it's like you're older than me 7 years. When you want to get married, then you can't beg me. But this was done out of revenge, right? So after 9 years, then I realized, okay, like, I have this revelation and this thought like, okay, I cannot be leaving things hanging there also. It's also not right. But of course, that's when I'm much older already. So that's when I decided that whether he pays or he don't pay, I'll just do what I need to do. Because after 9 years, that it's not going to happen already, right? It's not a 9-day, 9 months thing.
Yeah.
So I went to the law firm, then, I just made a stand. And then I just made a stand that I want to settle this.
But also one more part, because that part where you mentioned triggered you to actually go for this divorce is actually an organization, a program that you attended.
Yeah, so I went for some courses and so on, right? It's about like self-realization, self-awareness, and subconscious mind. But it's really through that course also, I had this level of understanding that whatever I said tonight, like, then I understand that why I behave like that, why I was doing this, then that's when I made the stand that, okay, like, I should settle this, like, I shouldn't be leaving it hanging there because it's not good for the family, So that's when I decided to make a stand, because the course was really like about understanding the ways of the world, understanding how are people like in the world, why people go through this and everything. And then it made me understood better like why I behave like that. But of course you ask me, like, of course through the understanding it brings a lot of pain also.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to go through it. I think, it's like you must be willing to go through it. You must be willing to open the wounds. And
Of course.
Otherwise you just forever be stuck in there. And and because based on my personality, I don't think, that if I wanted to, right, okay, so every time there's this very bad thought about me also, like this very bad thing about me. When I go through something too difficult, right, I will tell myself, if I can go through so much in life already, so like, so much, right, what is it I cannot go through? But that's also bad lah, because like I just constantly like forcing myself and pushing myself to go through a lot of things. It's a lot of struggle, a lot of self-effort, which is not something that I want, because honestly, you'll get burnt out one day, sooner or later.
Yeah, but I can see that this is definitely a soul-searching period during the maybe not the 9 years lah. Obviously, it's just during that program that something triggered you. That is why you decided that you must actually come to a stop in this toxic vicious cycle. Yeah, but back to you, Kathleen.
So you mentioned that for this 9 years, right? You were handling your girl alone, struggling with business and all. So your ex totally did no support. Were there any?
I would say that because it didn't end up very, very well, okay? Because I remember the last scene was I just carried my daughter and I just left his house. So I think, like I'm sure it has hurt them also lah. I don't know how it's like, but I choose to believe that it has caused hurt to other people also, right? And maybe there were like guilt. I don't know. I cannot say for him, but I assume that, like guilt triggers and everything, I feel that as a human being, right, it's always easier. The easiest way out, right, is to avoid. Right? Avoidance is always easier than facing it. So probably, like whatever emotions he's going through, or I don't know if it's pride as a man, every human have ego, but maybe, like for a man it's a bit different, right? Maybe like he felt like, oh, I did this action, and so forth, that made him not want to step forward. I don't know.
So for the full 9 years, he didn't try to step forward to provide anything for you or the daughter. Okay, you aside, because you so-called left him,
I
right?
think I just left, and I just take it that because I left, so nothing was done. Yeah, so I just carried on with our life, and I just did whatever we need to do.
Okay. So also one of the reasons why we created this podcast, because I believe a lot of people that are looking at divorce today did not have much information. So back then for you, when you were still so young, and a lot of your peers did not even have the same experience, who do you have to even speak to in order to even come to this term? Yeah.
I think it was very difficult when I was going through the divorce. But that was 9 years later already, right? Online there's really no information. It's like clueless. Then I did speak to my mother, but apparently my mother also didn't know much, right? Because my mother never goes through a divorce. So she did was like, okay, if you really want to do it, then because it's been 9 years already, I don't think she'll persuade me also. So she was like, okay, then you go and find a lawyer and so on. Then I really didn't know what to expect, So I went to a lawyer. I just anyhow asked people, I just randomly asked. Then, somebody just introduced me to a lawyer. And at the back of my mind, right, were a lot of thoughts. Like, I don't know what is because usually, right, I'll be thinking, okay, what will happen next? What do I need to prepare? And right? So I was in a very confused state. Despite that it's 9 years later already, but I think I fell into the part, right, not because I was depressed, I was sad, not because I was going through a divorce. I was depressed because I felt like a failure. I had thoughts that I failed as a mother. I wasn't able to provide my daughter with the complete family. There wasn't emotions attached to him already because it's been 9 years already. But there was a lot of condemnation that came back to me and guilt that I wasn't a good mother. Why didn't I just go on with it? So I was struggling with my emotions. And on top of it, when I go home and everything, I still have to pretend everything is fine and I'll just smile. Right? So when I went through it, it was a lot of fear, it was a lot of anxiety, and a lot of unexpected things. I think the scariest part is that you will suddenly realize that this person you once knew, right, seemed to be somebody you never knew. Because I think it's also normal, because we are humans, we want to protect ourselves. I'm not condemning him or anything, but I feel that every human beings are selfish. As much as I want to protect myself, he also want to protect himself. It's normal. That's when things can get nasty, right? But of course, we didn't get into a huge quarrel. We didn't, but a lot of emotions are stirred. So I would want to say is that, be prepared lah. Be prepared for the worst. Don't have a fairy tale. All this while you thought that, the other party will be very it will always give in to you everything, and then suddenly you expect this whole scenario to happen, to be as nice as it was, because we are just humans. So just be prepared for the worst, so that when anything happens, if it really happens, you won't be in that sudden state of shock. Because if you are in that sudden state of shock, right, I feel, trust me enough, you'll find it very difficult to walk through it, and you are being pulled down, spiraling down with your emotions, and yet you still need to make very rational decisions. If you cannot, please just don't make any decisions, because I think I've been there, done that, go through so much. Every decision you make, you're gonna regret after years when you look back. So just, what's there to lose? Just wait a while more, then you make a decision. There's nothing much to lose. What can you lose? The most time only. You know, but whatever decision you make in a divorce, I feel that is for life.
Yeah, but these are life lessons. That's why we became mature, right? It's not like it's not day one. It's not even available in a textbook. Teachers doesn't even share all this with you. So yeah, no one to blame.
So with this, right, what I hear was because for you guys, you were staying in your own home, and you'll never get any house together lah, right? So there were no assets between the both of you. So other than emotions, also nothing left. So there were actually technically no contest in a divorce.
Okay, so of course I have to do my fair share of homework, right? So I started asking a lot of people because I cannot find online. Like people who have like gone through divorce. Okay, back then I didn't really have much friends who have gone through a divorce. So I could only ask around. Then, you know, people will tell me things like, oh, you know, don't go for joint custody if possible. Because joint custody, right, both of you must agree to things. Then I'm like, oh no, we never contact for 9 years already. The least I want is to be contacting you every now and then to make a choice of my daughter's studies and everything. So I was very clear that I don't want a joint custody. Because you have never you was not around, right? Of course, I do not want you to like get involved too much because it's just been like that. You get what I mean? And I also had a lot of thoughts. As much as I want a full custody, of course, at the back of my head, I'll be thinking, what if he suddenly wants to fight for the custody? I literally took my whole life to, you know, to be there for my child. You know, like what if you suddenly want to? I mean, it's fair enough, you know, that he can, you know, because he is the father.
Yep.
But I tell you, the emotional torment, right, was like I just literally had a lot of thoughts. So I was like in constant struggle. You know, I just didn't know what to expect, what is going to happen, you know, and I just try to find ways to like make myself feel better that I'm going to like, no matter what, you know, mind over body, I'm just going to get a full custody. But there were a lot of fears. So when it came to the point when, you know, we had to go through the agreement and everything, right? It was easy because we never lived together then we don't have assets, then we were not together for 9 years already. So it was kind of clean cut. But you know, there was like, of course, lawyers will do their due diligence, ask for alimony, maintenance, and so forth. So when it came to a point that I just made a stand that, you know, I want a full custody, you know, then, you know, I will not take a single cent from you. It was a difficult decision. I mean, at the point of time, I was upset. But at the back of my head, I was also thinking like, I mean, it's been 9 years already. You know, we have not contacted. You was not around. Like, why do I want to pick on you for that maintenance and the alimony? And then I put myself in the state that, you know, we might have a joint custody. So I was very clear of what I wanted. So I just went ahead with it lah. Like I just told him that, you know, like, okay, I want a full custody, you know, and I'll not take a single cent from you.
But back then, your lawyer did not even like advise you properly, you know, for the consequences of deciding not to take any alimony and maintenance.
Like the not even 1 cent.
Yeah.
It was like draining for me. I thought it was super draining that I just want to, yet again, you see, I made a decision out of my emotions. It was just so draining because he was like constantly reminding me how much the legal fees were already. It really spiraled up to 4,000 plus, you know. And I was paying for it. So at the back of my head, I was like, I just want to get it over and done with. So when this thing happened, when I clearly know where it was going for, I asked him, like, you know, like, he was like, okay, like, he's not making a stand, you know, he doesn't want to sign. Maybe y'all should, from the start when he said, like, okay, y'all don't contact each other, you know, leave the lawyers, make it professional, leave the lawyers to discuss. To the point he was like, I think you need to meet him and talk to him. Because, you know, it seems like we served the paper, he's not signing. So I'm like, okay. I was just in a total loss. I'm like, wow, I never seen for 9 years really, you know, like, can we like just get this over and done with, you know, like, a lot of anxiety, seriously, because I'm not seeing him for 9 years. I didn't want to like
There's no point to revisit the whole thing.
I was like, why are we going through? But yet again, I know I just had to settle everything. So I met him, cut story short. Then, the lawyer just like, so I felt that I wasn't knowledgeable enough. So I was very thankful that, I could be in this podcast to share with ladies who are going through it. I'm not encouraging divorce for sure, but who are already going through it or who already done with it and cannot step out. Just don't be so hard on yourself. I can choose to be very hard on myself for all the decisions I made, but I come back to think about it. Everything is just, life can be beautiful. It's how you define it. If you think it's good, it's good. I can be very sad about it, like just keep regretting what decisions I made, right? Which I clearly don't because I feel that life has to move on.
Yeah.
So I just got it over and done with, like, despite the lawyer not really like advising me, then after many years, then I realized that I should be the one making the stand, I should be the one telling the lawyer what to do. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? I'm human. At that moment, I just had a lot of emotions. I paid 4,000 plus and I didn't know what I was doing.
But to be fair, you had no information. Nobody tells us what to expect through the divorce
because
process.
Nobody wants to talk about divorce. Every parent is like, oh no, I'm not going to talk about divorce. Some people is like pantang, don't want to talk about divorce. Then some even worse, like, no, I want to be the nice person. I don't want to like
I don't encourage.
I don't encourage, so I cannot even talk about it. But what about those people who were already going through it, already like settling, or those people who already done it but cannot walk out of it? I'm sure there are a lot of ladies, right, who who are still in that guilt, who still like, in that depression or so on, right? But I think, whether as a mother or not a mother, I feel that life continues. It's really just what you want. If you make a choice that you move on, you just heal. Of course, I'm not asking you to avoid the healing part and say that, oh, everything is beautiful, and just avoid. Avoidance is, I will not avoid because I think avoidance is bad. Because when it comes back to you, I think the trauma is worse.
Yep.
Right? But I think it's about allowing yourself to heal and just giving yourself space and time.
Agree.
Do you have difficulties facing your relatives in terms of this part? Like,
of course I had, because humans are judgmental. It's normal.
Yeah.
Right? But of course back then I didn't think like that. I was just upset.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe sometimes people don't judge you, right? You judge yourself, You thought people judge you.
Yep.
Because you are just so conscious of yourself. Right? And just feel guilty. So it was a strings of emotions that I went through. But as time goes by, as I did my healing, as I faced what I was going through, I don't beat myself up anymore. I don't feel like, oh, I'm the bad mother. I don't feel like, oh, I haven't been the good wife. That's why, like this happened. I could have blamed myself on a lot of things, I could say like, oh, why didn't I be like a wife? Why didn't I shift over? Yeah, okay, fine. They didn't like really ask me to go over, but I could have been a wife and just say I want to go over, right? I think there's 1,001 things we can blame ourselves.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking, because when you were sharing all this information, especially you got married young, actually I feel really resonated. And then now suddenly I have this flashback where, the part where I have to face the consequences of going through the divorce. And of course, the fear where, okay, not for you, but for myself, the fear where my mom start to spread information to my relative, visiting them on Chinese New Year is actually quite a scary part for me, because I was not ready to move on. I can't even like face the world myself yet, and I don't want to face the nasty. Actually, they wasn't nasty to me. All these thoughts were just formed inside me. I judged myself. I thought this is how they look at me. It was really not very nice. Even until today, I still feel a bit awkward, I just pray that they don't talk about this part, please. Yeah, that kind of thing.
I think I really, really changed only after, I received the love of God. Because like, until I know who I am, actually all these years, right, I really didn't know. I fall into like condemnation. I judge myself based on how people look at me. When people see me as that way, I thought that I was like that. and then, but it's really difficult and painful. Then I started telling myself, wow, very tiring like that. Like today, this person say that, oh, you're amazing. Then you feel very happy the whole day. If this person just condemn you and say, wow, what kind of like mother are you? Then I'll be like very sad. So it was a phase until I really know who I was. Like who doesn't make mistake? Who is so perfect? There's no perfection on earth for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Who don't sin? Who don't make mistakes? Everybody will. It's just the level of seriousness. But you come to think about it, right? Whether big or small, right? It's all mistakes.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Who dare to say that just because, oh, my mistake is like smaller than yours, so it's fine. No, right?
No.
So when I start to learn who I was, when I start to appreciate myself, that all these flaws actually make me better. All these flaws actually was a part of my life. When I became acceptance of the flaws, right, I realized that I could smile. I realized that I really could accept the way I was. That even if today anybody is just going to point their finger at me and say that, oh, I had friends. So there was this incident that I went through. Somebody actually came to me like these few years. Oh, that day we was having this conversation, then we talked about you, then, they was just like, oh, I heard some people saying things like, the bad things that you have done in the past and everything. I think if it was in the past, if I didn't really know myself, I think I would be badly affected of what people say about me. But at that point of time, I just tell myself, it's okay. Because it's already the past. Yes, I acknowledge that I've done shitty things. I acknowledge, but it was my past. I just need to come to terms that my past is my past. I do not deny that it's not my past. Yes, I admit, I have been through this, I've done this. It was my past, but it was just a part of my life.
I agree.
Accepting who you are, what you did in the past, is also a phase of growing up.
Yep.
And this growth has made you stronger. And this will be a very positive impact also for your daughter. Because for myself, I've been through the stage whereby I was not that good, right? So I picked myself up to where I am today. I'm also a model to my kids. And I think that is important. That's important.
It is. So because of all these things, right, I always believe, right, I mean, only recent years that I know I have this understanding that children don't need to be taught. Why I say this? They are very visual people. They see how their parents are like and they will just follow.
Yep.
So I realized that when I became so resilient also because of my mother. Because my mom was always away, right? And to me, she was like just the 蟑螂的强强, like 打不死的蟑螂. Because she, no matter whatever things, because I went through my rebellious stage, right? She never once like give up on life, I think if any other mother, right, maybe kill themselves already. I'm serious. I mean, I have to be downright honest. Not everybody is so strong, but because she went through a very tough life, because my father passed on when I'm 1 year old, right? So she's very resilient. And because I saw that resilience in her, I became resilient. And because of whatever that we go through, somehow my daughter is very resilient and very positive in life. Then I realized that, hey, all we need to do as a parent, right, is you just be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then they will naturally become that best version.
Yeah.
Agree.
You are the role model.
Yeah.
You are the standard.
You
to
do
them.
not like, oh, I tell you, you don't do this. Then at the back of your, at the, like, in front of them, then you started doing the same thing. Then they'll be like so confused, like, you tell me not to do this, but you're doing it. They will still do it because that's what they see. But, yeah.
Back to the divorce part, right? I think it's really good to hear that your process only took 4 months.
Yeah.
Right? Luckily, that was not quite a contested one. So it actually ended quite peacefully in that sense. At the very moment when you signed on the dot, what was your emotions?
Wow. Before it even happened, right, I really had a lot of thoughts. I was thinking like, because we always watch drama, right? I'm thinking like, oh, what if the lawyer asked me to like go into the room with him, he sit beside me, then we have to sign together. Because I watched too much TV last time, a lot of drama, then become very dramatic also. I'm like, I had so many thoughts. I'm like, okay, if I he sit beside me, sign, what if we cry? What if he cry? I just had a lot of thoughts. But I was very thankful that the lawyer actually say, y'all can sign on your own. Wow, I was just so relieved because it's not like we still have love lah, but I just didn't want to go through that part. You get what I mean? So everything went really well. Like, we just each sign on our own, then we just settled. I just felt like it was a new beginning of life.
Yeah.
Because like, of course, you asked me if there's sadness. There was that because I was not fully healed yet. Because I thought I was, but when I had the emotions of condemnation, right, then I know that I wasn't really healed back then. Because I just felt that I wasn't a good mother, right? Then then gradually, I did more self-healing and so forth. Then things just turned out well. Then so I would say that at that point of time, just because I think everyone goes through this in various ways. I'm sure you also did various ways. Like, so for mine, it was rather straightforward. I was just thankful that it was straightforward. But I'm sure there were many people, I've heard like scary stories of how it ended in the midst of going through it. So so I think, like, just don't let your emotions get a hold over you. Like, I think the whole detrimental part of this whole divorce thing, right, is just getting a hold of your emotions. It's really just emotions.
Yeah, actually I agree lah. Because a lot of people just constantly dwell in that dark hole, in that emotions. You can't get up because you are worried of so many things. Like, how is your life gonna be after this marriage? You thought he's the one or whatever. But however, looking at Elizabeth, and of course we part of this our own experience, what we did was actually just to move on, go on to outside the world to work. Not just that, we also attend courses. Yeah, we constantly find something to look forward, and also constantly feeding ourselves with a lot of information that we just need it in life.
Yep.
Yep.
Agree. Agree.
Yeah, I think, after going through everything, we are just all wanting a better version.
Yep.
Because time on earth is really so much only, right?
Yep.
We do not want to waste time. I think because after going through a divorce, somehow you just become even stronger. Because, like, you can't pull everything really. Like, you have just seen everything. You have just, like, gone through it already. Of course, I'm not saying that it's glamorous, but I think you make you stronger because, like, what is it? Like I said just now, I always tell myself, like, what is it? Like, when I meet difficulty in life, I'll tell myself, like, I really gone through whatever, like, I thought was horrible, was worse. What can be worse than a divorce, right? Because it involves the whole family.
Yep.
Right? Then I'll just tell myself, like, if I have been through worse, what can be worse than this?
Yeah.
There's nothing that I cannot go through.
Correct. Agree. So long as you're healthy.
Yeah, because health is something that...
Yes, health is something that money cannot buy.
Yes.
Yeah. So what else can be worse? Pain and death. So, but we are not going through there, right? Then therefore, the only way is to get better and to get better and better each day.
I think the difficult part in this whole divorce was not being able to control certain things.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I couldn't control was my daughter. It's not because she's rebellious, but because, right, I can control my emotions, but I cannot control her emotions.
Yep.
I cannot, throughout the years, I tried to be like a father and a mother, but I came to a point that I realized, right, I can never be the father and the mother. Because whatever a child wants, that is her emotion. I cannot control.
Yep.
So that's when I realized, right, that, for people who have not really gone through it, like, I really would ask you to think, are you ready for this journey or not? Because more often than not, you can control your emotions, but you cannot control your children's emotion. And often or not, they are the ones that are most hurt.
Yeah.
They are the one that is hurt, and to make it even worse, sometimes they do not express themselves, and they cannot express themselves. Because I grew up without a father, I didn't even dare to ask my mother why my father passed away,
Yep.
Because I was just so worried that my question will hurt her. Only until I got married, that I know how my father died. Can you imagine? So it's like, if you haven't go through it, you really want to go through it, I think, and if you have children, you really need to ask yourself, are you ready for this journey? Because the divorce will cause you a lot of stress. Then the children's emotion will cause you a lot of stress. It's a lot of mental torture, if you ask me.
Yes.
So I think that's something that you all need to be prepared for if this is really what you all want to do.
Yeah. And I won't say it's only women that needs to think about such. Men as well, right? We have heard stories. Yeah, I do have got, because in my line of work as a realtor, right, I do meet both men and women going through divorce and facing issues like yourself, like myself, like Isabel. Really, both men and women have their own fair share of their weakness, their sadness, their struggles, be it with their with the kids, the spouse, the money. They also have the fear, right? So, and many of them are not informed. They do not know what to expect, and that is usually the reason why they spiral downwards. And most of the time, right, people with sudden quarrel and they cannot compromise, the first thought that they have is, let's divorce and split. But at the same time, many have forgotten that their children are the midst of it. While going through that, right, the children are all affected.
If you ask me again, right, I think going through a divorce and handling the child, right, handling your child is worse.
Agree.
Because, right, going through a divorce, both parties can handle their own emotions. But you cannot control the child's emotions.
Yep.
You will be put to a point whereby you will feel very helpless. I will use the word, it's called helpless.
Yeah.
Because, right, no matter what you do, you thought you can fulfill, but you cannot, Then that's when you will be engulfed in sadness, bitterness, like, why didn't I manage? What should you do?
Yep.
Then it's very difficult. So, yeah, and like what you said, it's really not just the ladies that go through the pain. I'm sure the guys also go through the pain. That's why I never ever felt upset with him to the extent that, everything I just pushed to him. Because I felt that he has his fair share of pain he needs to go through.
Yep.
He has his fair share of things that he needs to face. Not just the ladies. So it's really like the whole family gets involved.
Yep. And it's not just one family. Most of the time, it's
Two.
the splitting up is two families. That's why they say when you get married and when you divorce, you
两家的事.
yeah, it's two families.
Yeah, last time I was so naive when I was young. I was like, because I was younger, right? I was like all out to love, because I want to create my own family, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking like, okay, it's just between two people as I was young. I was like, just between, as long as I love you, you love me, we can get married.
Oh.
It's silly because when I look back now, I'm like, oh wow, okay. So really after going through the divorce and everything, right? It's actually 两家的事. Whether you get married or you divorce, everybody is involved.
Everybody. So it's other than just the people affected, the kids are affected, the in-laws are affected. Yeah, so it is more than that. No,
It's
so
more than that.
Myself as an example was both parents, they were all affected. So you ask me, would I want to... that is something that I really cannot face. And that was also one of the reasons why I went into, I spiraled into depression. I had to face the kids' pain. I have to face my parents, their parents' pain. Everybody is like, I can see, everybody around me, they are as painful as I am, right? Just, so on top of that, my own emotions. So everybody's emotions, I try to absorb.
Then to make it worse, in front of them, you try to behave like you're not in pain.
Yeah, correct.
So you're like constantly suppressing yourself.
Yeah.
Then, then your emotions just spiral down. Because I think it's very, very difficult. I actually went through that phase. Like there was once I remember, wow, this was difficult. I was just suddenly in this state, because from work pressure, right? And so much pain. I was just crying in my room. My daughter was only like maybe 3 years old. 3 years old is very young. They don't really know how to say much, right? You know what she did? She came to me, she gave me a hug, and then she started patting me on my back. Wow, I cried even worse. I cried even more because I felt that, she just know that I was in so much pain. It was very difficult that moment. Like, I just felt she could understand me. She understood me. So all these little things actually gives me strength, to move on in life.
Of course. So those of us who have children, we know exactly, right, that at the end of the day, what we do and what they have gone through, right, it's not something that they chose. They cannot choose. Our divorce, it was basically slapped onto them. They had to just swallow that. So being parents, I think what we can do on our end is at least give them some thoughts as well, right? Before we take into any action. So loving the kids, really loving them, means minimizing more hurt to them.
And not
Really.
minimize the trauma. So,
Yeah.
always now when I see people who are very strong, be it ladies or men, right? I always say, wow, you know, when I speak to them, because I'm very inspired to hear people speak and everything, right? When the person is very inspiring, you know, I always feel like, wow, what kind of story do you have?
Yep.
You know, there's always a story behind a person, right? For the person to become like that. Because everybody is like in their comfort zone. Who wants to suffer? But you know, for you to go to the extent to become this manner, you have gone through a lot, surely.
A lot. Yeah. To be a single mom, to go through everything from daily handling of the kid to their studies, it's decisions for them, yourself, you got to work. And to excel in your work.
It's really everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
Everything.
Then you play so many roles. You are a mom.
Yeah, that.
You are a dad. You are a daughter. You are yourself. And you are the boss. You are the colleagues. There's so many roles to play in a day. So with all these emotions that we have to shoulder, it is just...
It's just overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming. So that's why I think you are blessed. At least your girl is understanding. And
I'm very thankful, really. I'm very thankful.
The bond between you and her, this is something that I think is very, very precious. Yeah. God has given you something that is very precious to hold on.
It really is. You know, every time I look at her, I just feel so blessed and thankful because she's nothing like me when I was young. So that's why I really feel very thankful. You know, she has been like, she's really understanding, you know, see when she's younger, right? I'll bring her for my appointments and everything and so forth because it's difficult. I'm a single mom. Like, you know, there are times I will have to tell my customer, you know, like, sorry, but can I bring my daughter along?
Yeah.
Right?
I do too.
Yeah, but that's the beauty about it. Because of that, right, she has seen how her mother worked. She has seen, like, you know, like, how her mother was. Then today, you know, I don't even need to, like, push her to study. I don't need to. I've never ever asked her to study because I'm so busy with work. She will be the one, you know, like, she's very independent. She'll be the one, you know, like, wanting to become a better version of herself to the extent even better than me. You know, nowadays she eats so clean. Yeah, I was very shocked. Because
she's 14 only.
She's only 14. She will like own self tell me, she'll text me, say, Mom, I'm going jogging.
Wow.
Then she'll wake up like if she has exam 1 month later, and it's not like university, okay, it's just like normal she will like wake up, she'll study till 11 p.m. Then she'll wake up at 5 a.m. Then I'll be like, I just keep my mouth quiet lah because like I'll be thinking like, wow, 你好像考大学这样子, you know. But of course, deep down I'm happy lah. Like, you know, it's
very
all
self-motivated.
It's all worth it because like she'll be like boiling vegetables, steaming chicken. Then, you know, I'll be like happily eating my fast food at the side sometimes. Then I'm like, I think it's precious because like, you know, like the bond that we have today, she's really like the angel of the family and it's really all worth it.
All worth it.
Yeah.
Agree. That's very beautiful.
Your mother, which is her grandmother, how was she like? Is she a very what is that called? Strict to your child?
Of course she's strict because she wasn't able to be strict with me.
Okay.
So but in a good way. But like because we went through the phase whereby she kind of like understood that her role was a grandmother.
Not mother.
So she don't really step into the disciplinary anymore. Because she recognized that if both of us get involved, you know, there will be miscommunication. Because sometimes she say can, I say cannot, I say can, she say cannot.
Yeah.
So she does her role of doting on her. But of course, if she sees that certain things, you know, like she feel that she don't feel comfortable, she will tell me. Instead, she'll tell me, she's like, oh, why do you allow her to do this? Da, 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 you know, like, and so forth. So, but my mom has been really supportive throughout, you know, like
beautiful.
Throughout until today, you know, she's like the pillar of the house. So
家有一老，如有一宝. Agree.
Yeah.
I have my parents as well as the support.
Yeah. So she is like the pillar of the house. Totally. Yeah. I'm just very grateful for how everything has turned out to be.
Yeah, leading to my next question, right? So your marriage actually concluded, in year 2015. And shortly after, you guys actually incorporated Kueh Ho Jiak.
Yes. So we started Kueh Ho Jiak in 2017. Yeah, because my mom was just like babysitting my daughter. And because my mom was working overseas all the while, so she's very driven, always on the go. For her to suddenly stop working was also difficult. She just felt so bored, like, what am I doing in my life? Then my daughter was already like going for classes. So she told me, she said, I need to be doing something, you know. I cannot not be doing anything. So she decided to start, she went for baking classes, then she went for various classes, then she realized that she still liked doing kueh. Because back then, because she's the she have 11 siblings. So she's the number 10th. Then, being the 10th girl means that all the other elder sisters wears everything that is passed down to her is really torn and broken. So, but she is so driven. So she went to make her own on there. Then she went to door knock, to sell on there.
Okay.
So she was really a sales lady, okay, at a young age.
Wow.
She wanted to earn money, yeah. Because she wanted to earn money. She was like thinking, she got all like the pajamas were all torn and broken, the shoes always torn and everything, right? So she wanted to earn pocket money. So she started making her own on there. Then after she started to like knock people's door and sell.
At the age of?
I think it was like secondary school, so I'm very young.
Oh,
secondary school.
I'm sorry. She started back then. I thought you were saying that like,
No. So she started, but because of that, right, I think the memories triggered her. And then she just enjoyed making kueh. So, then after she started, like me doing research and everything, then creating her own recipes, fine-tuning. Then, we were very, very blessed. We met a lot of nice elderly because they are the people that last time eat kuehs, right? But last time the elderly, they are not like professional chef. They will tell you, okay, you add 200 grams of sugar. They'll just tell you, I think you add a bit more sugar lah. You add lesser salt. They'll just everything I think,
Yeah.
And she,
Agak. Yeah,
wow, so at the
agak.
start, we had to eat so many different kinds of kueh texture. So she R&D the kueh for 7 years, especially our sweet potato uncle kueh. She R&D for 7 years to find this perfect state that she liked, that everybody liked. Not so much about she liked, but what people like.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a very tedious process.
7 years of
7
R&D.
years? That means, 2017. Now it's 20... Isn't it still now?
Yeah. Then only recently then we stopped like doing improvising the recipe really.
Oh, okay. So before this, you're always still trying.
Still trying because my mom taught me something. She is not the kind of chef, right, she's not the kind of chef like, oh, mine is the best. No. She will always like listen. She taught me how to listen. So when people give feedback, she'll listen. But of course, the detrimental part when we first started the business, right, people say that it's too sweet, right, we lessen the sugar. Then another person next day say that, right, not enough sweet, right, we add sugar. Then wow, we were like, okay, confused, man. Then after we realized that, okay, no, we need to have balance. What most of the people want. So she taught me that to hear what people want and not what we want. So she don't create things out of what she wants. It's always out of what other people want.
Okay.
She's a very giving person. Throughout my whole childhood, she cared for my friends. She gave selflessly. Although she's not in Singapore most of the time, but when she comes back, if she sees anybody who have a lack, anybody who needs, income or anything, right, she will just give to my friends. If she see my friends are from broken family, she will just give. So she could be bitter, right? Like, I already going through so much with my daughter, but then, why should I still, right, give? But she never, she really shown me what is called kindness.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
That's very amazing though.
So in this business, right, what is your role, like, as a managing director? Like, what do you actually do?
So for my mom, she takes charge of the production. Then for my side, I handle the corporate sides, the deliveries, the R&D. So she handles more of the operations, which comes to like ensuring the quality check, managing the production staff and so forth. So for me, it's more on the outside. I go forth thinking about what people like. How can I preserve this heritage and culture? Because our vision and mission is very clear. Over the years, it has always been the same. To preserve this heritage and culture. But I'm thinking like, so many children don't even know what is kueh. Like down the road, right? People will not know what is kueh anymore. And then to make it even worse, tourists are storming into Singapore buying non-heritage product. Like, if you go to Taiwan, you buy like the pineapple tarts, right? People come to Singapore not to buy the heritage food, like buy snacks. Then I'm like, oh no, like that will be the least. Yeah, let's not mention. That will be the least that I want, right? This created the impression of Singapore. No way, man. These kuehs were passed down through many generations. So that motivated me to move forward. And I think one of the greatest thing was women empowerment. Because we have went through so much things in our life, right? Like my mother and myself and everything. Like we employed low-income family. We employed ladies who were from the women's shelter, who were badly abused by their husband, and so forth. Because I believe that, like we can understand them better than any other people. Because we've gone through so much. So that's one of the way that I want to give back. And you know, we also employed like children with learning disabilities. When they first came, the principal or the teachers will say, oh no, you know, they cannot handle knife and everything. You must give them really simple routine things. But you know, my mother is also one garang person, right? So my mother trained them to the extent, right? They can chop vegetables. But my mother mentality was very clear. Like, they need to learn what is called survival because their parents will not be there forever. So to the extent when the principal came, right, he was shocked that they can handle the knife, you know, and cut the vegetables. So these are some of the very precious things that we do. And the other very thing that I really like, you know, you ask me, it's not a nice day every day like at work, you know, it's never rainbows every day and butterflies lah. There'll be time, you know, I remember there was once I worked for one day, 24 hours, I never sleep.
Wow.
Because our food are all like perishable. Cannot be like cookies, you know, you make them after you leave there. Wow, I make the dumpling until right, I can hear the bees buzzing in my ears, you know. Then I just tell my mom, I say, what am I doing? Like people 赚钱我也赚钱，为什么我要赚得那么辛苦, right? It's no joke when you can hear. It's my first time hearing bees buzzing in my ears, you know. I was just so tired. It's really mind over body.
Oh.
You know, then I started to question myself. But I tell you, that's the thing. Because you're passionate about what you're doing, right? Next moment, when your customer, after I slept, I woke up, my customer texted me, oh, we really enjoyed it so much. We like it so much, you know, like we're going to order from you again. Well done. Suddenly, you forget whatever you said just now. Then you're just like, okay, start all over again. You know, or I have customers coming to us, then they cry, they tear. They say that, you know, like I remember back then when my mother, you know, make kueh, my mother is no longer around. There were just a lot of touching moments. When we first started, it really mind over body because we never do F&B before. Wow, I tell you, there's so many. We drank, I think that was my whole life that I drank so much cold water. It's so hot in the hawker center. Then, you know, we always have angels coming to us that buys us ice cream lah, buys us drinks lah, buys us dessert to encourage us. Then I'm like,
Wow.
It's really all these small little things that encourage me a lot, you know. And when customers always just send me a text, you know, of thanking me or my team of, you know, how nice the food are, it gives me a strength lah, because it's really not rainbow and butterflies every day, but it's all these small little things that gives us strength to move forth in the business.
Okay, then of course I want to support you as well. But you know CBD, confusing leh. It's very confusing because when you mention Tanjong Pagar
Plaza
Market,
Plaza Market, yeah.
yeah. What is the landmark so that, you know, more people can come to you?
Okay, so it's near to Carlton City Hotel. It's directly opposite. You will definitely see a prominent like NTUC. So we are not within the same building. It's just directly opposite NTUC. You will see that, you know, we are level 2. So level 1 is the wet market. Level 2 is the, you know, the market that you can buy food, the cooked food. So yeah, so as long as you go towards Carlton City, the area, you know, where NTUC is, just directly opposite, if you go up to level 2, you will see us for sure. 0220. 广告时间.
Anyway, the address will be inserted in the description below.
Yep.
I actually work in that area, so I'll definitely come and find you.
Okay,
I
great.
love kueh, I tell you, I really love kueh.
Okay, okay.
I'm a very true blue Singaporean, grew up eating all this not nonsense lah, but then it's yummy goods. Yeah. But anyway, with that, we actually are coming close to our podcast. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing a powerful story today. You know, it's very heartwarming, especially the part where you show us how strong you were, you know, what keeps you looking forward, and taking a courage to walk out of this divorce eventually. And then this is you know, a strength to us and to the audience who are still going through this process. Yes, you know, another good example is that, you know, just look forward, right?
Yes. For Elizabeth, being young, innocent, not knowing enough, I would say not knowing enough, inexperienced, making decisions that she claimed is reckless, but to the point where you can walk to where you are today. I think it, like you say, nothing is rosy in between. You've been through a lot, but at the same time, you're blessed with your mom. You're blessed with your daughter. I think at the same time now you're blessed with customers that are happy.
Yeah.
You have a career that I will call very fulfilling. And yeah, we're happy for you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you
with
for
that,
having me.
Yeah, with that, we will wrap up today's episode for Grounds for Divorce. If you're someone going through this similar experience, remember that you're not alone. Until next time, take care. See you.
See you. Thank you.